Good morning. We will start the event in 1 minute. There are already quite a lot of participants. That's nice to see. Welcome to our webinar, Handling of E-invoices in IRISXtract. I'm your host for today. My name is Valerie. I'm working in the marketing department at IRIS. And I will hand over to the first speaker, to my colleague, Walter.
Good morning, everybody. Also from my side, my name is Walter, and I will guide you through a few slides. And welcome to our webinar about the topic handling of e-invoices in IRISXtract. Today we will have an overview about current and upcoming, mostly European regulations, at least from today's perspective. We will see a few thoughts on what this means for the individual company, and finally, how could we handle the new requirements within Xtract. Before I'm starting with the topic itself, is just one organizational aspect. There are quite a lot of people in the webinar, which is totally nice. So please ask your questions and place them in the chat during the webinar. You will find the chat on the right bottom of the window screen. We will handle a few questions after this session within these questions, but of course we will answer all your questions as they will reach us, of course, in the chat, and we will do that after the webinar. So what is the topic about? What means e-invoicing? And we said it's about the European aspect. We are talking about the European VAT reform, which is called VAT in the Digital Age. And this organization, they have published or proposed a few directives. It's a political thing, and a lot of things will come up again. But what it is about, there are a few aspects. The most important aspects we are talking about and related to us is the introduction of a digital real-time notifications for all companies which do cross-border business, with the commitment to generate electronic invoices and automatic notifications. There is a way to go there, and according to this VIDA, everybody needs to handle a few steps until the 1st of January 2028, at least from today's perspective. What does this mean related to the countries? So yeah, we have several different developments taking place based on the electronic invoice norm you see over here. And even nowadays, you can see that there are a lot of different models in different countries, and a lot of you may know that we can already handle quite a number of these within Xtract. Concerning to the different clearance models, there are also different solutions on the market, and yeah, the discussion is very dynamic and ongoing, and we expect a lot of changes and new things in the upcoming future. What does this mean for a company? What questions they may ask the individual company? In which direction they should go? Of course, that's what we see for starting in 2025, although there are countries that have already implemented something right now. The companies need to be prepared to receive electronic invoices via email, for instance. Or we are taking care about things via email. Please think about, there are still exceptions in standard invoices. So standard invoices will remain. How are we handling that? How are we handling that in parallel? And even if you're getting lots of electronic invoices, Will there be other ones as well? And how are you handle that? Then we have a topic, then of course that PDF is technically speaking not an e-invoice. Just a comment from my side. This ECOFIN Council, this is on the European level, the people who are talking about this VIDA, they can only give you a recommendation because there is no political agreement reached until now, or at least until June this year. So they have a recommendation saying the term electronic invoicing is to be defined more broadly by January 28 and should also include PDF invoices. But of course, technically speaking, a PDF is not an electronic invoice. Then you need to take care about that there are lots of different e-invoice formats, not only country-wise, but in general, we're talking about 3 different formats: a PDF plus an XML, a PDF with an embedded XML, or an XML only. And you may receive different types depending on country and supplier. And probably there are even countries where more standards are possible. So is it just an XML or a PDF with an embedded XML? So at least you have to handle various. As said, e-invoice formats in the different countries may change continuously. So we are expecting quite a number of changes in the upcoming months and years, and we need to be prepared for that. Another aspect is that not all formats are readable, as said. So for instance, Xrechnung or Faktura PA or EB interface are invoices just handled in a metadata format, in an XML format. So how we are handling that? Then there's these huge questions: how many e-invoices are wrong and need to be corrected by the sub-supplier? So if you are talking with people and partners and companies, then this differs a little bit. The ones are saying, oh yeah, when it is an e-invoice, then everything is fine, but why should this be better than it is now? We are even seeing companies saying, oh yeah, even if I'm looking on what our outcoming invoices are and how many mistakes we have. So this differ probably up to from 1 until 10%. We will see how this is. But the question then will be, how are we handling that? Are these wrong e-invoices, because only that an invoice is coming as an e-invoice doesn't mean that everything is correct in this invoice. How are we handling errors? Is this possible within the ERP system, or is this costly and maybe more user-friendly with a data capture system? The question which is coming up. What is probably with additional data like order, article number, or specific fields which may not be covered by the e-invoice? And last but not least, what is about matching against order data and handling of price differences and so on? And please just think about, in a lot of countries, you have an obligation to check, especially when it is about that you are asking for returning of the VAT. So what is that? What we are offering our SPAP customers, Solution Pack Accounts Payables customer. So first of all, there is, and this is already available since quite a longer time. You could use the XML fetcher extensions, which means that we are recognizing emails which includes e-invoices or XML data. So there may be no changes of email addresses for the suppliers needed. What next? For those who have already been in contact with e-invoices in the past, you may know that IRISXtract already supported quite a number of e-invoices within the SPA pack. But now we have included in the latest SPA e-invoice add-on package with new functionalities, which makes it easier to add or change formats. We call that mapping tool. So bottom line, you have one solution for multiple e-invoices. And of course, we need to take care about modifications in the future. And we would like to handle that within the maintenance contract. Furthermore, we have talked about that there are also other invoices are coming in. You have e-invoices. You can process them together with email-based invoices in a hybrid solution. And if you have still paper invoices, yeah, then you have another imports channel. So you have one standard process for different imports channels. What if an e-invoice is just an XML? We will generate a PDF image that is human readable, which can be then also stored afterwards. Of course, that's not a must, but might be very convenient for people who are working with. And last but not least, the e-invoices will be checked with validation rules, with a validation rule set from SPAP, which is probably known by all of you. And the XML data can be used for validation. Looking on all of that, and also expecting a lot more changes, and looking on countries where probably the whole process is already a little bit further, then we need to think about what are future topics we need to cover. So for instance, e-invoices in Italy will be provided by a Sistema di Interscambio. So here it is about that we would like to have a web service for an automatic download from this portal, but there are other portals as well. So this is something where we are just thinking about and maybe one of the future offers what we have. And there are also non-European countries also focusing on electronic invoices. Here we have just listed Brazil, Mexico, Turkey, and China, but we don't need to go too far. So for instance, even in Serbia, they have implemented already an e-invoice system. And we need to find a way how we work with all these different formats. Probably the one or other we have already, but in the new way, how we are handling that, how we are dealing that also with these formats. And there's also an aspect, for instance, to say, probably you have or your customer will get an ERP system which accept e-invoices formats as an import. But unfortunately, not all invoices you're getting are e-invoices already, or even in this time until 2028 or probably longer. Let's see how long this will take. So probably there is a need that we in Xtract need to export a standard invoice, which we have then validated and checked and all that what we are doing in SPAP. And in the export, we are just exporting an e-invoice as a standard export format. So these are topics we are thinking about, and that is all very dynamic, and lots of things will come up. So how does this look, this hybrid solution with training on XML data, or this solution within Xtract? In general, we don't care. It's a paper invoice, it's just an email PDF, or it's a PDF coming in another way into the system, or it's an e-invoice. All what we are doing is we are taking the document, normally we OCR it and generating a free text. That's the standard way what we have done in the past. We analyze the things to have the invoice data, then it's about the validation, and then the invoice data. However, picture and metadata we are forwarding to the backend system. This is the way how we are handling it until now. We are OCRing it, we are generating a free text, and the free text is the base for the analyze. What we are doing with e-invoices is that we are taking the e-invoice, taking the XML data, and using these data wherever they are coming from for analyzing it. So it's just a different way, but for the customer, it could be more or less the same as he's saying, I don't care what type of invoice is coming in. After the validation, it is about, do we need to generate an image or is an image also available? We have the base for everything. After the analyze, we have just either taken the relevant data out of the free text or we're taking the relevant data out of the XML and could start with all the validation and checking against other data. So the mapping, the correction, and the training will remain with e-invoices and other invoices as well. So I'm now at the point where I would like to hand over to my colleague Thies Bos, which is a senior consultant, and he will show you how we are handling that within Xtract. Thies, please.
Thank you. Let me switch to my machine. So as Walter explained, that what we are doing today is we are processing the e-invoices within our standard SPAP package. That means you don't need to have an additional package. You will have one application that can process every type of document. If it's paper, if it's PDF, email, or sorry, I was triggered by something. But yeah, it's one application, and what I will show you how this will work with the e-invoice emails. So this is the expectation that we have typically, that most of the e-invoices will be coming in via an email address. And here I have some sample e-invoices. And the first sample is the one PDF file with an embedded XML file. And this is a typical e-invoice that is being used, for instance, by countries like Germany or France. And the challenge for most customers is that they don't know that they are getting those type of invoices, because based on the PDF, you cannot see that this is an e-invoice. So if you take a simple viewer, then yeah, well, you still get the image view from the e-invoice, but it does not tell you that this is an e-invoice. Now, if I would open the e-invoice in a more another PDF viewer that knows about attachments, then I can share here the attachment files, and there you can see there is a factorx.xml file embedded in this PDF file. And this means, okay, this is a typical Zugpferd or France e-invoice that has an embedded XML file. And this is what our XML fetcher also understands, that, hey, if there's an XML file embedded, we need to send it to the SPAP project. Let me share you what then happens in SPAP. So if I open this file, which has been imported from the XML fetcher, then the system will work actually the same as for a normal invoice. Also here, every information is 100% the same. The only thing we added here, just to make it available for a verify operator, here on top it says this is an e-invoice of the type Zugpferd. That means this is a typical German invoice with an embedded XML data. And this helps an operator to understand that if information is found in the e-invoice, it could not be shown on the PDF file or not really be clear on the PDF file. But we still try to show it as easy as possible. Well, to be honest, showing it, I would expect 99% of these e-invoices don't need to be showing and can be sent directly from the analyze step to the export step, because the expectation is that all the data is 100% correct. So we don't need to validate information in verify. But all the business logic that is in SPAP is also still being used in an e-invoice, meaning that if the business logic of SBAP says, hey, something is invalid, it will still send it to a verify operator so you can check what is going wrong. But in this case, the whole e-invoice looks perfectly. Also, line items look perfectly. So, and this is always a big challenge of reading line items, but from the e-invoice, it should be 100% perfect. Also, the footer data should be perfect, and then we can simply process all these documents automatically. So this is the simple Xtract one. If I go to the next one, so this is the one PDF and an XML file. And this is the type used by a lot of other countries, not only Europe, but also outside of Europe. And there you have a typical XML structure. And the downside of these XML structures, but this is even true for Xtract, is that today most countries have, well, a format that looks roughly the same, but on very detailed level is not always the same. So we need to have mappings for all these different country-specific formats. And this is the solution that we created. So these mapping logic in the original version of SBAP, because the current version of SBAP already supported some e-invoices, but then you had to script the mapping in a specific import script. But now we created a mapping logic where you can simply create a table file with the mapping, and it's very easy for you also to change the mapping file if you need to add additional information from the e-invoice, which is not a standard value on an SBAP project. So, but as I said, here I have the UBL file. I think it's a Dutch one, and let me show this one, what that looks like in Verify. And of course, also that's not really a surprise. The look is pretty much the same as the other one. The only thing it says on the top, hey, we have an e-invoice from a Dutch UBL format. By the way, the system now tells me, okay, there's one issue here. It says an order number does not match the transaction data. And of course, this is still one of the challenges, because not every information that a supplier puts in their invoice must 100% map the information that you expect from the invoice. I know for this one that it says bestelling ID 2003. I know that the order number original one only says it needs to be ID 2003 and not the word bestelling included. So if I take that away, then the order is correct. And this is a simple correction that we could still do in Verify to correct the e-invoice matching the master data information. And in real life, it could still be the case that information is missing. For instance, I can see here there's the service date that we expect from an e-invoice is simply not filled. It could be that this information is actually not filled. It could also be that the mapping for this specific country did not find the right value. What we could do now to correct this, the worst case to do it is have a look at the XML file. But you know, if you look at an XML file, let me open up this one. This is not really nice to have a look at. So it's very complex structure and it's not easy readable. So what we don't want to do is to have you read the full XML file, but we created a kind of logic that says we can show you the additional XML information, but this still is a lot of information that we did not use in the existing SBAP fields. And here, if you say, hey, I know that I need this value, but this is not, of course, not a date value, but you can copy a specific field value to the current solution. And if I say copy, then the system asks me, do you simply want to copy it or do you want to train it? And training means that the next time you get an invoice from this supplier, he knows where to find a specific value. And you can simply copy the information or train the information. And when you train it, then the next time you get an invoice from the supplier, it will know where to find additional information. And the same, so this was on a header and also true for a footer field, but the same is true for a line item. So for instance, the system did not find an article number, and also here I can have a look at the table information. So now it shows the table from the e-invoice with values that are not used. So let's assume this is the value. I can also here say copy the value to the screen or train it, and you can train it on the line item, and it will copy then the information, in this case on the article number, if this would be the correct one. So this is the way to train it, or simply copy it, either way. And the training will save you time next time. Then we have the last version. This is a typical version where we only have an XML file. This is typical for instance, Italian. And this is also an Italian invoice, but yeah, you can expect this to be true for a lot of additional countries in the future. For instance, also in Germany, you have the Xtract format, which is an XML only. Sometimes you can expect that the supplier will give you a PDF file as an add-on, but it's not required. So he can simply send you an XML file, and you need to be able to process the XML file. But for an operator in Verify or in SAP or any other application, it's not easy to read an XML file. So what we do here is we try to make a new PDF file so that an operator can have a quick look at how the information is coming from the XML file. So here it shows an image, this PDF image, which is not an existing one, but we generated this image based on the information which was available in the XML file. It looks like an invoice, but that gives a Verify operator or an SAP operator or anyone else who needs to have a look at the invoice information to have a quick look at how the e-invoice looks like. These are the three variants that we can process today, and what we need for that is we have an add-on module to a standard SPAP project. So we need to add this to your existing project. We can help you with a package with the documentation, or you can ask us to do this for you, of course. And then we have a custom import channel that understands that if an XML fetcher finds an XML file, either embedded or attached, that he can load this XML file into the system so that SPAP can process it. So this is the quick introduction of the e-invoice solution. Walter, back to you.
Thank you very much, Thies. You have already talking about, thank you, showing you all the three formats and how we are handling them. You have already talked about what is next and what we can deliver. Let's start with the point 2 here, as you have already mentioned that. So we have a sample project for SPAP, including e-invoice, as you said, with the e-invoice add-on as an import channel. So there is a system project for the technical people. There is a documentation about that. So yeah, simple, ask us, your contact person, your business developer, or even you have direct contact to the technical department. And of course, we can help you with coaching and project work, or we are doing the project work for you. We guess that, in the fourth quarter, the one or other would like to go already in detail with that. So we are developing a lot of things. Let's move to the part where it comes to questions. Valerie, I think I have seen there are quite a number of questions.
Yeah.
So we would like to handle a few of them.
Yeah.
And but we will answer all of them at a later stage.
Yeah, I think there are two questions. We can handle it at one time. So the first one is what is about the Norwegian EHF format for e-invoices? And we have the same question similar to this. What about the support for Austrian EB interface? Will that be supported too? So for the Norwegian e-invoices and the Austrian e-invoices, that would was a question here in chat. Yeah.
Yeah, let me try to answer that. So every format that is there is not 100% included yet. I don't think the Norwegian EHF format is included. But I expect that Norwegian AHF format is a PDF plus an XML file. Mr. Stinebe, if that's different, let me know. But what we created is a mapping solution that if we have tomorrow any new format, then you can simply take a sample e-invoice format and create a custom mapping for that. That is something you can do on your own. You can also ask us to do it. And typically what we would do is if we generate a new version of a mapping, we will share that to every customer easily. So you can expect that we, in the coming time, in the coming year, you will get new mappings for new formats that we process during the process. And typically generating a new format is not a lot of work. The lot of work is the testing of if you did the mapping correctly for all the different formats. Because even within one single format, you can see that suppliers use different mapping ways of mapping some information, which can be handled by our mapping tool to add additional variants if needed. So yeah, these formats, the formats that you mentioned, I don't think we have them yet, but we will add them as soon as possible. As a customer says, "Hey, I need this mapping, please help me with that," and we add it to the system. And this is not really programming work; it's a simply text work to say, "Okay, this is the value that we need. This is the typical mapping in the XML file," and for that we have an additional tool to support you with that.
Thanks a lot, Thies. Thanks a lot, Thies. I have another question which comes up twice. It was why your demonstration, Thies. There are some people which are curious which verify version you used, yeah, because some of them see that we have new functionalities available, and we have some questions about which verify you are using to have all these nice functionalities, yeah, that you have shown.
Yeah, good to hear. Typically, all these things that I show are available in for quite a long time in a version. I don't know which is the starting version. The version I'm using right now is the latest Xtract version 5.0. And for instance, this image version is already available for quite a while, but probably not everyone knows how to configure this. So if you need help with that, let us know that we can simply explain you how to configure that information. That's pretty easy. What we also did on the right-hand side, so people say, what is this debitor, creditor, and header information? Actually, what we did is we did a dummy field value where you can simply say, don't show the text value of the field, simply show the header value. So we simply use some additional fields to display this field groups, debitor, creditor, header, just to simplify or make the lookup a little bit more easy. So we, yeah, as said, we use some additional fields that says, hey, field is name is debitor, and we simply say, don't show the text value on the verify screen. And by the way, this only works in the full verify version, and that does not work in the web verify version.
Thank you, Thies. So there are quite a lot of questions. We will come back to you offline after the webinar. I will take one additional question, which is maybe also interesting in the German field. So can the Xmail fetcher also automatically import Xtract invoices from a Windows directory? Because there's someone who has a customer actually in the first step, or do he need Xmail fetcher for this? Because he can import the invoice directly into the SPAP solution as usual.
Yeah. So the custom import channel that we have today is only supporting Xmail fetcher. But if you have customers that say, okay, we need to support a hot folder type of import for Xtract documents, then of course we can easily create that. So we already have a lot of custom hot folder import channels, so it's easy for us to add this XML embedded file from a Xtract if that's available. So if there are customers that wants us to do that, then we will do it.
Right. Yeah. Thanks a lot, Thies. Now we're a little bit over time. Thanks to all participants for your time. We will come back to you for the answers, which we have not answers right now live in the webinar. And for all questions and more interest, please contact Walter directly. There have been also some prizes asking in the questions. So any sales related question, please write an email directly to Walter. He will be happy to answer your question.
Yeah, so it's not only me, just go to your contact person. Probably it is David or Martin, yeah, whoever, we will handle all of them. Of course, everything what you have asked now in the chat, we have all together, but it might be that at a later stage you have some other questions, and especially when you are trying to test the sample project and so on, there might be coming other questions as well. And so, yeah, we are open for that. So in general, it is about, we are focusing on developing the one or other side. There will come other versions. We are testing it currently heavily with a lot of partners and customers. And yes, as always, you always find something could be better than tomorrow, than yesterday, and we will continuously work on that. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to have you here, and talk to you soon. Thank you very much, and have a nice day. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.